Jim.
Okay, trustees, we are live. We are recording. Phone lines are open, and we are good to go.
Welcome everybody to the trustees regular meeting, March 28th. And I'd like to open with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Arlene, can you do roll call, please?
Sure. John Aldred.
John won't be in.
Okay. Francis Bach.
Here.
David Cataletto.
Here.
Ben Dollinger.
Here.
Tim Garneau.
Here.
Jim Grimes. Mike Martinson. Susan McGraw-Keever.
Here.
Gotta read. And Bill Taylor, I'll mark him absent. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 present.
Okay, so we barely have a quorum at the moment. Hopefully Jim will show up.
What does that mean, Francis? For the meet? Can we not have the meeting?
Stand by, Jim signing in.
No, we could meet. We can't vote.
Well, Jim's coming in.
Okay.
You in, Jim?
Man, what's up?
How you doing? All right. We'll start with public comment. Matt, do we have anyone in the side?
I'm going to let the waiting room in right now, and we have 0 callers on the line.
Okay.
Is Sarah coming in?
Yes.
There you are.
Momentarily.
Okay. Hello, Sarah.
We also have the Lazy Point people, which might be very quick, you know.
Okay. Sarah, do you mind if we tend to a couple of quick things before we get to you?
Not at all.
Great. Thank you. Okay. 1 second. Okay. We have Molly Graham. No, actually, Michael Swire.
That's me.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm good.
Hey, Michael.
Hello.
Okay, so you are purchasing number 220 Lazy Point Road? Is that what I understand?
Correct.
Okay. Susan and Jim, what?
We have, I have everything printed out and I have everything in order. The only thing that we discussed earlier was Chris Carrillo, our attorney.
Is Chris on?
No, Chris is out of the country and he has COVID and can't come back.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Well, that's nice. Well, my understanding, I think we can have a vote on this tonight because you've done all the noticing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and I think the 3 weeks had passed. I think we can vote on this tonight, basically contingent upon Chris's review that everything's in order.
I think, Jim, that they're attempting to close this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think that should stand in the way. I think if Chris is out of the country, unless he's in friggin' Antarctica, he should be able to get emailed the documents, and I would think he would be able to respond to this.
Yeah, I texted him. He hasn't responded to that.
Okay, where is he? Do we know?
No.
They're in Mexico.
Okay, I don't know why you'd go to Mexico, but
The wedding.
Yeah.
You had to go.
you never have to go unless it's yours.
Well, the things that we do have, Jim, I printed out everything that Arlene had sent us.
No, Susan, I've been following this, and I do
Oh,
think.
all right. Well, I just wanted to let you know in case you had
I
any
do
questions.
think this is all in order, but you know
Yes.
what? This is what we hire counsel for. So I would like to make a motion that we approve this thing.
And I will second it.
Okay.
That might be Chris.
No, it's not Chris. All right. So motion's been made, it's been seconded. Do we want to, can we vote?
If you're confident, you go ahead.
I'm confident. Hey, listen, I'm confident. It's all contingent on the review of our council. I think if we send Chris, Arlene.
Chris already has all the documents and I'll
Okay.
resend them again.
If you could send an email to Chris in the morning that it's very important for him to get back, and in this way, we're not holding up your closing.
Excellent. I'm sure he will. Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Michael.
Thank you. Very excited.
Yeah, enjoy.
Thanks.
Let's see, what do we have next? Okay, let's go to Sarah.
All right, everybody. Good evening. Nice to see you all. I'm going to try working with Allison and Arlene to share a screen. We want to give you just a quick report on 2022 field season. So, Allison, do I click on the report on the document?
You're gonna click on share your screen. So, yep, there you go, and then just bring it up.
Bring it up.
So you're gonna go to your presentation.
Okay.
Yep, and then
There
if
you
you
are.
want to do it as the slideshow view, you're just gonna go up and go to slideshow. Up on top, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th one over.
Right.
Yep. And then from the beginning. Go back to slideshow.
Oh.
Go all the way to the left from the beginning.
Yeah, Allison, thank you. I'm a novice at this. Anyway, here is just a quick presentation about what's planned for Georgia Capon from the Friends of Georgia Capon Foundation, a private not-for-profit charity, and then we can answer any questions and discuss. Okay, now Allison, how do I get it to move on forward?
You're just gonna click your mouse on the screen.
Okay, great. Thank you. I got it now. So the first thing we're, forgive me, we just want to review that we've, for many years now, since 2015, we've had the water quality telemetry buoy. This is augmented by hand sampling and the HiCat sampling, which is the autonomous device that started last year. But the buoy is located at the southern end of the pond, close to the opening of, close to the connection of Georgia Cove, and it measures all of these parameters on the left except for the PFAS compounds and the phosphorus. And of course, this is work performed by the Gobler Lab and available on our website and the trustees' website 24/7 as soon as the buoy goes back in the water, which will be next month. As you all know, the trustees have a 10-year DEC Army Corps of Engineers permit to dredge sand that washes in from the ocean. And this is the 5th year, and just want to commend the trustees for this work. The dredging involves high quality sand here at the mouth of the pond, and also sand from at the bottleneck to Georgia Cove, the lower bottleneck. Both areas are important to remove sand from on a regular basis. Thank you to the trustees for approving the resolution to operate the harvester. I believe it was at their last meeting. This is covered by a 5-year permit from the New York State DEC, the town of East Hampton, and your resolution. As you can see, for the first 3 years, 2016 through 2018, it was an experimental project, and that is the amount of pounds of aquatic macrophytes, including macroalgae and vascular plants, that was removed. And it was anywhere from 10 to 20% of the nitrogen and phosphorus load to the pond After those first 3 years, we needed to get a tidal wetlands permit from the DEC. So in 2019, we did not harvest, and we worked on getting the permit application together. In 2020, some of you may recall there was a very large, we didn't have the permit yet, and there was a very large macroalgae and subsequent blue-green bloom, and the DEC, after a month of effort, allowed us to harvest in the cove. And then in 2021, we did get the permits, and we were operational by August 1st and harvested 50,540 pounds. Now, in order to do this, we have to monitor the situation very carefully to be sure we're not doing any harm. And so the Peterson lab at Stony Brook does the pre and post harvest monitoring for us. On the left side, you see one of Dr. Peterson's undergraduates sampling the submerged aquatic vegetation, or SAV. This is usually a combination of a green algae and 2 species of pondweed. And then that is, we map the distribution of the SAV's pre and post harvester. Then on the right is a picture of the bycatch analysis. So a couple of times during the season, we take apart one of the offloaded piles and count every fish and invertebrate, at least as visible to the eye, to quantify how much bycatch the harvester is removing. And the bycatch is generally small fish, some shrimp, grass shrimp, and a couple of damselfly and dragonfly larvae.
I know that picture.
Yeah, I think you took that picture.
I did. I did, yeah. And that was a fascinating day.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see what comes out. Another big effort for Friends and important to the water quality in the pond, of course, is the upgrading to low nitrogen or IA septic systems. And of course, you're all familiar with the map on the left. That is the 10-year travel time of Georgica Pond's groundwater. This is the area the town considers the most important to upgrade septic systems, and thus offers the highest incentive for upgrades in that blue zone. And it's very important that we keep the word out on this and keep this process advancing. And on the right is the nitrogen loading model developed by the Gobler Lab, which shows how much wastewater is 50% of the nitrogen entering the pond, and then other areas of contribution, including runoff and atmospheric deposition, but the sediments also contain a lot of nitrogen.
Hey, Sarah, with respect to the new septic systems, I stepped into the steering committee meeting the other day, but it sounds like a lot of these systems are not performing up to their claims or expectations.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the design, again, that was what Dr. Gobler was discussing. The siting of them, especially at Georgica Pond, is very important because the groundwater levels change so much, whether the pond is open or closed. And, you know, that the homeowner has to adhere to the guidelines about not using certain detergents or you know, not using too much bleach to kill the bacteria in the system. I mean, it's a more complicated, more expensive, but much more effective system. And I think that, you know, again, we need to have a major meeting and discussion about how to get better designs working here, so that the more nitrogen is removed and the systems are functioning. And I think.
Well, you know what I got to tell you, what I'm troubled about is, you know, the town of East Hampton jumped on this, on these IA systems unilaterally. Okay, town of Southampton recognized some of the limitations, and I believe the health department recognized some of the limitations of these systems. But what bothers me is, you know, we forced people into these systems, basically by advertising these spectacular results. And when those results fall significantly short, how do we explain that to the public?
Well, I think first of all, they're performing much better than traditional systems, and I don't think our meeting tonight is the forum to be discussing this, because the county really starts at the county and then works down to the various townships in Suffolk County. But yeah, I share your concern, Jim. I mean, obviously, we don't want to be promoting them if they're not working well. Some are working very well. It's just not consistent, and there's some issues after 5 years that have been raised, which need to be addressed.
All right. Is it related to one specific or manufacturer or certain design conditions? Is it?
Well, you're really asking the wrong person. I know there have been issues with both the Fuji and the hydro action systems, which are the two most popular and the two that have been performing the best in the county trials. But beyond, I really am not equipped to answer your question beyond that.
All right. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Okay. So the next project is the oyster grow out at the pond, and for the last 3 years we've had 3 sets of cages in the pond at 3 different locations, and have demonstrated that oysters can survive and grow and spawn in Georgica Pond at the very low salinities that this brackish pond maintains, and also have low disease density, which is positive. So the next step would be to do some mini attachments to these cages with spat on shell in the presence of predation, which we're calling a mini reef. In other words, the grow out that we've demonstrated so far have been protected in the cages. And it's important to know if oysters can survive in Georgica Pond without the protection. So we'd like to relocate the northernmost set of cages, which the salinity is so low there that had the lowest survivorship. We'd like to move that to another southern location and continue with the 2 locations that we have, and adding these mini units of spat on shell. And we're thinking that the 3rd location might be on the west side of the pond, off the Georgica Association, out of the way of dredging and all the other activities. But we wanted to know if the trustees wanted to suggest a 3rd location, or just let us come back and present that to you.
Sarah, I think it would be fine to come back and present. Now, are these going to, because you've been taking the oysters out at the end of the season?
No, they've stayed in the pond.
They have. Okay. Listen, as long as I think it's fine, maybe let us know where you want to put them, and let us talk to the guys, some of the guys that have got crab pots and other stuff in there that we're not going to disrupt them. But these things stay well below the surface. They're not going to be an impediment to the hunting. They're not going to be an impediment to the boating and stuff on the pond, correct?
Yeah, they only surface when the pond is very, very low. So you can see in that picture on the left, Jim, that a part of the cave is sticking up. That's in a low water condition.
Sarah, who maintains the crates? The residents?
That's done by the fellow on the right. His name is Mike Dole, and he's the head of bivalve research with the Gobler Lab. And he and graduate students check on them very regularly, remove fouling, measure their growth, as you see he's doing there.
Excuse me.
So I think this is a really worthwhile project to get this final set of data about the spat on shell and the survivorship in the presence of predation. So we'll come back with a map to present to you of the 3 locations, then the proposed locations. All right. Then the next project, again, we're really getting some momentum finally on these two major sources of stormwater runoff to the pond. We're working with, of course, the trustees, the town, and Suffolk County and the New York State DOT. The picture on the right is the rest stop at Route 27. This is one of the best kayak and public access points for the pond, but a major source of stormwater contamination to the pond. So what's proposed is a re-engineering of this area to greatly reduce the amount of stormwater runoff. And this will be done also in cooperation with the Peconic Land Trust's new preserve next door. And then on the left is the Georgia Cove pipe, or what we call the Cove Hollow pipe, which directly discharges stormwater. And you can see that brown stormwater, that water carrying a lot of sediment, and with that sediment, a lot of nutrients and contaminants directly into the pond. And the town is just about to put out an RFP for, the town and the village have done a lot of engineering already on this pipe and are remediating some of the incursions into the pipe by various utilities. And now the next big step is an end of pipe plan for a wetland, constructed wetland to absorb stormwater. And that RFP is going to go out next month. So that's pretty exciting that we've been advocating for these projects for many years, and that we're finally getting some real progress and then improvement to the water quality once they're constructed. Another important homeowner responsibility that we advocate for is not having lawn go directly to the pond. And this year we'll be printing up a small leaflet about vegetative buffers. And we've interviewed a lot of the players and stakeholders last summer, and we'll be printing a little guide. But this is a challenging issue, and it's not as easy as it looks. But on the left, you can see a newly planted buffer, and then how it grew out the next year and continues to flourish. So it's expensive, it's challenging, but it's very important to helping reduce runoff into the pond.
Yeah. Hey, Sarah, are you guys doing any sort of missionary work with some of your members that have vegetative buffers that I can only describe as anemic?
Yes.
They
are anemic and they need help. And I've met with a number of the ones I know you're speaking of and discussed it, and offered advice and encouragement and patience. I don't have to tell you that it's complex.
Yeah, it's a little disturbing when you see these properties that are literally lush green lawn, super fertilized, super watered, and then you've got this 8 to 10 foot buffer.
Right.
That does function, but
not an ideal scenario.
No.
Then the next project we'll be working with the trustees in the town this year is to meet and discuss the idea of getting an incidental take permit from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Army Corps, and the DEC to allow the trustees to open the pond in a water quality emergency, which would be triggers for that would be very carefully specified. And hopefully this could be done at the end of the plover season, but these two pictures show you why it's very, very important to try to avoid the plovers because of how camouflaged both their eggs on the left and their nesting is on the right. So the ideal scenario is that the trustees and the town could get this incidental take permit and have it as a tool in our toolkit if the pond needed to be open due to an incipient major blue-green algae bloom or major flooding. And then just two outreach efforts. we are working with the younger generation with some help from Trustees and Surfrider and other organizations to pick up plastic out of the pond edge and the beach. It's amazing how much plastic washes into Georgia Pond. And we've got one for kids scheduled on April 16th and another one in September on National Beach Cleanup Day, and hope some of you can stop by for that. And then the last item I just wanted to present to the trustees and is the idea of some kind of an interpretive sign at the gut, obviously not in the gut, but nearby, where beach goers and pond users could learn about the unique ecology of the pond, what the letting process is all about, rules on crabbing, information about the nesting birds. It could be a beautiful sign, very informative. And this is an example of that type of sign. This was done by CCOM at Fort Pond for their floating wetlands project. But they now make these in a very durable plastic material, and it might hold up to the sandblasting on the beach, or then again, it might not. But we'd like to discuss this with the Georgia Association because it's probably their land where it would have to be. But I wanted the trustees' endorsement of this as well as an idea. So that concludes my report. Happy to answer any remaining questions. Can I get out of this, Allison? Stop share, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Sarah, I think the sign's a great idea. I'm in full support of that.
Yeah, I like the idea of the sign as well. I just find it a little ironic that it's plastic.
Well, it's not single-use plastic. It's
it's durable. I understand. Right.
Yeah, because the trustees have put signs down there in the past. Last year there was a much better metal sign about the crabs, and these laminated things don't last at all. And I thought more educational component in the sign, not just rules and regs, would be appreciated.
I agree. And I think there's one like that in several areas by Acabonic, Laos Point. They have a map and so forth. And I think it's very informative, and people feel much more appreciation for a natural resource when they learn a little bit about its history and what it offers the community and the various different things that we don't often see with our eyes. So I like the idea.
I'm gonna actually say I completely disagree. Okay. Because I think the finest example, Sarah, is the photograph that you showed. All right. You took a nice scenic vista down there on Industrial Road, and we've littered it, which we do all over the place. We litter it with signage. In the case of Georgia Pond, certainly I think this would be an agreement that we would have to have with Georgia Association, because our land down there will not accommodate a sign, just given the dynamic nature of that area. I think that's something that we really have to think about and maybe see if we can't come up with some way of doing this where it just doesn't become just another thing in the view corridor.
Yeah, so your main concern is the view, Jim, because it would clearly have to be on Georgia Association land. It couldn't be in the gut, and I envision it somewhat to the side to not block the view, but the view is definitely a consideration. And also, we don't want signs all over the place. There's going to be an interpretive sign at the north end of the pond when the west stop is refurbished. But so many people walk down there and don't know what's going on with the birds or the crabs or the letting.
Trust me, there's enough people that know about the crabs down there. And perhaps if you're going to think about a sign and to give somebody information about the laws on crabbing, it's not going to be written in a language that most of us are going to understand. You're going to have to do it in Chinese.
Well, there's a nice sign at Morton Preserve. I mean, when you first enter the pathway, and it gives you a background of the preserves. And I think that as long as it's educational, it can be a tastefully placed sign. And I understand your point, Jim, about
if you walk the woods out here or go anywhere, we're literally, or even down Main Street in Montauk or Amagansett, we are inundated with signage. And God, there's got to be some way of filtering this out somehow, because you know what I think happens is whatever good intentions you have there ultimately become lost, because you know what? The signs become, the beautiful signs that you make become sort of white noise. People they see them so often, they just walk past them. It's like a stop sign. Okay, it's another sign. I don't know how you do it that captures the public's interest.
Sarah, the design that I find is interesting is the one that's slanted, and it looks like a lectern. So there's actually, it looks like an open book.
Right.
And it right away that it has information as opposed to a sign.
Right. That
tells you, stop, go, can't go here. So that shape is very appealing to me. I don't know how anybody else feels or how the Georgia Pond Association residents would feel, but I think that lends itself to right away you feel as though you're going to learn something.
Yeah. I think the specifics of the design, I agree with you, Susan, that angled sign is more like presents itself as something you should be reading. And I'm very sensitive to the superabundance of signs. I feel we failed in the signage at the gut to date. The trustees' blue-green signs get moldy very quickly. The laminated signs are just not holding up for the duration. The English versus other language issue is a real issue, and a sign could be designed more in an international symbol usage than what we have now. The metal signs that you put up last year about crabbing were certainly a great step better than previous signs, but they only talk about the crabbing, and I was hoping we could incorporate more of the ecology of the pond, and therefore it would have to be a bigger sign, but it would have to be placed just correctly without interfering with view. So I guess I'd love to know from the board whether I should proceed to try to get more information and a potential design, or is this a hard stop no?
No, hey, listen, you only got one hard stop no right now. I think the majority of the board is responding in an affirmative. So don't be run off by me. But I do think, Sarah, this is something that, why don't you come up with something? And I think we should set something up with Georgia Association, because clearly we're going to be asking to put this on their property.
Right.
Would there be some way to post a QR reader that would go to a recorded description of what's going on down there? Everybody's carrying their phone.
I don't know about recorded, but you certainly could put a QR code that could go to the crab legs and or other things, or maybe you can put it to, your voice.
They do that, Sarah. I've been to some museums and stuff where they've actually gotten away from the big tutorial signs.
Right.
And they've gone to just what Francis is talking about.
That's a very interesting idea, and I think that takes care of two things. Jim, you're not wanting to see, and most of us don't want to see signs littering all over the place, and it's informative and people can listen to it. You just hold your iPhone up to it or your Android.
Yeah, and the other part of this is a lot of times when you go to, because I've gone to sites and parks where you have those things, and guess what? You get to choose the language.
Right.
So that actually could, Sarah, that might actually be
the way to go.
That might actually be an avenue.
At the minimum, it would minimize the size of the sign.
Right.
And
Right.
it could be a template for other applications.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You can also put one up at the parking lot and then one down closer to the pond. And there's a menu. You can choose what subject you're into. You know, I think that's a good solution.
Dave, by the parking lot, do you mean Beach Lane?
Yeah, that's where we park, right? So there'd be a little, you know, you can just put your phone up to that and get your menu of what you want to learn about.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Good idea. Francis, Jim, Sarah, David, I like that.
All right. Well, that's very, very helpful. Then I'll continue with collecting information about a sign, and we'll be getting back to you on that. Thank you again for all your stewardship and care and your support. And I hope we have a good season.
Thanks, Sarah.
Look forward to it.
Thank you, Sarah, for everything you do out there.
Yep.
Hey, thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Give me a moment, please. All right, next, I believe we have Molly Graham from the Cornell Cooperative Extension. Molly?
Yes, hi. Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Molly.
Good, how are you? So I have a few slides to present, and my colleague Ron Paulson is on as well. So thank you for having us on today. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides.
Now, this is for water testing in Fremont Harbor? No.
Yes, this is for
Okay.
project we have going on in the northwest region of Accabonac Harbor.
I'm sorry to interrupt. 1 second. I hear what sounds like bumblebees.
Yeah, it's
Be a buzzing noise.
It could be the fan on my computer. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that might be it.
Can you hear my voice okay?
Yes, your voice is fine, Molly. It's just a whirling buzzing noise.
I think that's the fan on my computer.
Okay.
Just to let you know a little bit about us. So my colleague Ron Paulson has been working on groundwater related issues and water quality and submarine groundwater discharge for over 20 years. I've been working with Cornell Cooperative Extension for a few years now, and before that I received my PhD from Stony Brook University in marine science, and I work for the Center for Clean Water Technology on passive nitrogen removal systems. So we're here to talk to you today about our project for this spring that's happening in the Northwest Accabonac Harbor region, where we will be doing some surface water monitoring. Just to provide a bit of background information, as you, I'm sure, may be aware, parts of Accabonac Harbor are either permanently or seasonally closed to shell fishing. And it's well known that urban stormwater runoff is a source of pathogens and fecal coliforms that have led to some of these closures. Other sources, including groundwater and additional pollutants such as excess nutrients, or co-occurring factors such as temperature decline, temperature increases or decreased dissolved oxygen, may be contributing to water quality declines in the area. And there's little publicly available data on the surface water conditions, although there is some data being collected by the DEC. We also know that there is no sewage system, no sewage treatment plant in the subwatershed in this region, and many areas surrounding this northwest region have been identified in the Suffolk County subwatershed wastewater plan as needing septic upgrades. So it's very well possible that the water body is experiencing excessive nutrient inputs, potentially due to submarine groundwater discharge. And I'm just showing a figure on the left here of the seasonally and permanently closed areas to shell fishing in the northwest region of Accabonac Harbor, which is where we'll be collecting some samples this spring. Some of our objectives for this study are to identify areas with elevated nutrient and pathogen concentrations in the surface water in this region and determine if they are above acceptable thresholds. We also plan to identify co-occurring factors such as dissolved oxygen concentrations, water levels, temperature, that along with nitrogen and pathogen inputs may be influencing water quality conditions. And we plan to, in the future, based on some of our data from the spring, potentially locate areas where there are high rates of groundwater seepage and elevated core water nutrients. And we plan to collect this data, and if it warrants it, it could warrant justifying remediation in some of the shoreline areas and potentially inform the location and design for some remediation strategies. And then the information gained from this project can also inform other water quality initiatives in the area and may be potentially useful to help reopen uncertified waters. And some of the methods that we'll be using, we will be completing a surface water sampling from each of the 12 stations that we were showing here on the figure 2. And we'll be collecting them approximately around low tide, which is when groundwater discharge would be at its highest. So we would see the most influence of potential groundwater sources of nutrients or pathogens. And in the field, when we're out there, we'll be collecting data on conductivity, salinity, pH, temperature, total dissolved solids, oxygen reduction potential, dissolved oxygen. And we'll also be collecting samples for nitrogen and pathogens, specifically the fecal coliform bacteria. What we are looking for your support on is we are also planning on installing 5 stations that are temporary, but they will be installed for about 3 to 6 months. And these stations, we will be monitoring water level, temperature, and salinity to help provide context and information that we can use to help understand the other data that we're collecting. So just to go into a little bit more detail on the figure 2 here on the left, this is our study area, and the blue diamonds show 12 locations where we will be collecting surface water samples for nutrients and fecal coliforms. And then the 5 stations that are circled in yellow, this is where we plan to install the autonomous data loggers. And we plan to install these data loggers at temporary stations in the sediment bottom using screw anchors. Once the screw anchors are installed, those will be completely buried, but a small logger about 1 inch by 6 inches long will be present just above the sediment. And then we will probably have a small buoy attached to the screw anchor so that we can return to those logger locations and collect the data occasionally. And then again, these stations are temporary. They would probably be in place over the spring to summer for 3 to 6 months. And then this will allow us to collect data that is providing context for all of the other measurements that we'll be collecting. So just to summarize briefly, we really see our work as helping identify and target shoreline areas that are in direct need of remediation, as well as informing remediation design, and working on, reversing water quality impairments will likely involve a variety of management and remediation efforts. And some of the future remediations that some of our work may help justify are replacing existing septic systems with innovative alternative septic systems. And also some of our work is on permeable reactive barriers and nutrient bioextraction techniques. And I just wanted to give you also a quick update on some of the other work that we've been doing in this area, because we've been using some specialized equipment and doing some studies in other areas of aquaponics. So we have a study planned and an ongoing study for the area at the southernmost part of Aquaponic Harbor where this culvert connects to Pussy's Pond. So we've been collecting some pore water, surface water, and groundwater samples in this area, and specifically right offshore of the culvert area next to the Springs General Store, we were collecting some pore water and surface water samples offshore of that area, and that work helped lead to a remediation, which is being funded through the Community Preservation Fund, where we'll be working on installing a sequential permeable reactive barrier to remediate an ammonium plume that we identified in that area. So we just wanted to let you know about some of those other projects and how we are, citing remediation strategies and how our work kind of fits into the larger picture of water quality initiatives in the area. So that was just a brief description of what our project is, and we hope to get your support. And thank you to the funders of this work. So this project specifically is funded by the Aquaponic Protection Committee, and some of the other work I talked about is funded by the town of East Hampton and the Community Preservation Fund.
Right. Hey, Molly, that's good. Now, you're aware we have that culvert a little bit farther to the east of where most of your 5 sampling stations are. And we've been maintaining that culvert and opening it every year. But, there's some controversy and disagreements on whether that should be done from the data that Gobler's office has collected, and that over the years, it appears that the water quality in that leg of Accabonac Harbor has been better when that culvert is open. But typically that culvert will close back up sometime during this next summer season. So perhaps as part of your sampling, if you could be aware of that and see when that's occurring and whether there's a definitive change or any bump in your data.
Yeah, we can certainly make note of what we see when we're out there, as far as whether the culvert area is open or closed, or how our data can help provide more context for whatever the trustees may be interested in that area. We can certainly provide information and take down any notes about that as well.
That would be great. Thank you.
Hey, Molly. The South Fork Sea Farmers are trying to put an oyster reef in that the southern part of Accabonac. So, if it all works out, maybe you could, be in that area and see if that reef actually cleans the water up a bit and filters the water and changes the data. And, so that might be interesting.
Yeah. Well, Molly, you've been collecting data in that area for a while.
We've been collecting data in the Pussys Pond area and just north of that, around that culvert, for several years.
Okay, so if that reef is installed, let's say in this upcoming season, you've got some baseline data that.
Good.
I'm not exactly sure where that oyster reef is being planned, but
it's going to be near that arm where the culvert near the general store is, kind of before you make that turn.
Okay, yeah, we do have some data from there, so that could provide some background information.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Hey, Molly, if you want, Arlene in our office can forward you over the proposed areas for that. You can overlay that with your collection sites. And if there's any conflict there, maybe you could reach out to us and we could look at it.
Okay.
All right. Hey, thank you. This was great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Molly.
You're asking for permission to put these things in here tonight, right?
Yes, we're asking for permission to install the screw anchors, those 5 temporary monitoring stations, into the sediment bottom.
Are those anchors removed when you're done?
Yes, everything will be removed. It's temporary.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'll make a motion.
Wanted to know when will they be installed, Molly? I know it says
Spring?
3 to 6 months. They'll be in, but is this something to be installed shortly then?
Yes, we're hoping to install it shortly, upon your approval.
Okay.
I second Jim's proposal.
Okay, we have a motion from Jim, a second from David. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Move on with this experiment.
Thank you very much, Molly.
Thanks, Molly.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Okay, looks like we have Bob Sheeman also present. Bob, are you there?
I am here.
How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, Bob.
How's it going, Dave?
What do you have for us tonight?
Well, I sent in some
This
slides.
is for the Oyster Reef in Accabonac Harbor.
Yes. Yeah, kind of a great segue from the previous presentation.
Right.
To meet the state's requirements, I needed some additional information, which I sent to Arlene. I think you all have copies. And we went the other day, John, Dave, and I, and kayaked around to find a site that was away from any duck blinds or any other obstructions. And we did find, I think, a better site, not only because of its location as far as duck blinds, but it has a much more solid bottom, which is really important for this. There was really no silt on the bottom at all. You didn't sink in at all. Pretty rocky, small, fist-sized rocks on the bottom. So it's a good spot for the reef. And I think, Dave, you agree that seems to be a logical location.
Yeah, that seems like the best spot.
Yeah. Did you all get copies of what I sent?
I don't know that I've gotten the latest stuff.
Yeah, I haven't seen the latest.
All right. Do you want me to share my screen and show you guys what?
It'd be great if you can.
Sure.
All right. Hang on one second.
Arlene, are you able to send that to us tomorrow?
Yes, if Bob sends it to me again, I'll circulate it around. I'm not sure. I'll look for it now, but.
Okay.
All right. And something is, oh, I know. I did not, I'm not able to share my screen. It's not giving me the option that it usually does because my subscription ran out, which shouldn't make a difference, but it's not coming up.
If you go back on just regular zoom.org or .com, can you come back in and bring it back up that way?
Can you email it to you, Susan? Or
No,
I don't know
I don't
where
have a
else it is.
copy. I don't.
I sent it to Arlene with some other paperwork I got ready for the state, for the DEC.
Okay, I'll go look. I can't open my emails on this computer.
Okay.
Bob, do you happen to remember, was it on the 25th that you sent it?
Let me take a look.
Because I might have it if it was. I just have to figure out if I can open it and share the screen on mine as well.
No, I can't get this off of my screen.
So, if you go in at Landing Lane and you paddle to that first little point, it's just around the corner and it's not in front of any house. It's, like Bob said, it's really nice, hard bottom, and you can be out a bit from the shore, and it's not in the path of all the kayakers. So, we went around there, we sounded a lot of different sites with our paddles. It seems like the best spot. I know you guys want to see it, but I'd like to make a motion eventually to give the permit. And maybe we talked about a protective status on the reef that will be part of the signage. We're talking about putting some signage on there that kind of explains what's going on. But
After listening to the earlier discussions, I'm going to skip the idea of a neon sign. We'll go with something small and unobtrusive.
Actually, Bob, I'm really into neon. You have a better chance with me. With
I kind of thought so.
flashing.
Sparkles, sparkles.
I found your email, Bob. Would you, if you tell me if this is correct, if I put it up, is that okay? Do you want me to still share it?
Sure.
Okay. I'll try and share it and see if this is still.
I also spoke with one of the users of the duck blind that's in that vicinity, and they didn't think that this reef would be any issue for them.
Well, great.
Is this the correct one?
That's it. Perfect. Okay, so that would be the new location. And again, that's hard bottom, that whole section there between the point and that little estuary coming in is pretty hard bottom, much harder than further down to the east. The next slide is a little bit of a closer view, and that's pretty much to scale. I tried to put it as much to scale as possible, and it shows the distances from the marsh grass. And the next slide gives you a visual. These are different types of man-made oyster reefs. The rectangular one, which I thought was kind of odd, that's in Shinnecock Bay. That's the one they put there, which was an interesting design to me. But ours would be probably most similar to the one on the right, but smaller in scale. That's the side view, which you've seen before. The height from the bottom would only be 18 inches. The state wants it 20 or below. The next slide gives the high and low tide marks. And one of the reasons for having it exposed during low tide is that that's going to basically prevent any fouling organisms from surviving on the reef. And one of the questions the state had was, is the frost, a deep freeze, going to harm the oysters? And after discussions with Barley, they'll be fine in a freeze. And the next slide this is just something I started researching months ago. Restoration by Design is an oyster project up in New Hampshire. And this is with the Nature Conservancy. And they did years of research, very extensive, different types of reefs, because there were large piles of shells dumped on deep bottom. And they were just dumped and not really creating a reef. But there are also naturally occurring oyster reefs in that area. So they were just looking to increase opportunities for set. But they did have basically their recommendations for a successful oyster reef. And I think we've hit them all in that we're getting a hard bottom. It's got opportunities for research. And we actually interviewed two high school students from East Hampton High School this week who put in for internships. They're both in the science research program. They're both very excited about participating in the reef, using it as a backbone for their research. So that was one of the things that the Nature Conservancy also wanted. Having spat on shell, increased culch, and also having some mature oysters in the mix, which the state wouldn't allow us if we were in the year-round zone that you couldn't shellfish in, but in the seasonal you can. So by switching to this location, bringing into a seasonal opening, we can put some mature oysters in there too, which I think will help. I think that's the last slide.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a win-win. You're going to have maybe some oysters growing in the harbor. It's going to filter the water. You know, the students are going to get involved. I lead paddle tours, kayak tours there in the summer all the time, and I know it's out of the main traffic. It's out of the main channel where you're paddling, so it's not going to get in the way. If anything, it's something to talk about and you know, about the science of it. So I propose we give them the permit.
You're making a motion then?
Hey guys, yeah, I would second it. But question on this, is there a lifespan on this thing?
Not if it's successful. In other words, for me to feel like this is a success, it's when it starts to maintain itself without human help and become a natural oyster reef. That would be wonderful.
Was this the preferred location, Robert?
Originally, no. We were looking for something a little closer, and
closer to the general store, right?
Closer to the general store, and I was also thinking in the year-round protected area made sense to me. But the more I learned, the more I thought about it. And when the state said that they wouldn't accept mature oysters in the mix in that spot, this is, I think, even better. So I think if I knew everything I know now, then this would have been the preferred spot.
Okay, good. So I'm happy that you're happy.
Thank you.
Okay, so David, you.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to give the.
Okay, you got a motion, you got a second, we just need to vote on it.
Hey, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
And when will you begin, Robert? Is it going to be right for this?
I would start tomorrow if I could. Now I have to get the DEC. They require your permit for me to get the list. So if they move quickly, Barley said we can, the last week in May, he can get spat on shell going. So I'm hoping before the end of the school year, we can get the kids out there wrapping and
yeah, I love that the students are involved. I think that's terrific.
I'm excited about the elementary school students. And after discussing this with the two possible interns from East Hampton High School, we're brilliant kids who are really going to add to this whole process.
Good.
That's great. Thanks, Bob.
Okay. Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, and I see Tina Piette is here. Tina?
Oh, hello. We just were on the agenda for an approval. Good evening, everyone. So I'm just listening in.
Yeah, this is the Lucy Bennett leaseholder sale, correct?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
We approved that a little earlier.
Oh, well, see, I listened to all these presentations and that was good. So I'll have to go back. I missed it. So thank you all very much. And I look forward to my client, and he looks forward to working with the trustees.
Great, thank you. And for the trustees, I did just hear back from Chris Carrillo, and he said everything's fine and in order.
Wonderful. You all have a great evening.
You as well.
Hey, you too. All right. Let's see. Move on to new business, I would say. Napeag Lazy Point, we just did that for the second time.
Just for the record, Francis, we have 0 callers on the line. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Old business, Hampton Water Homeowners Association, moorings off bulkhead. You want to discuss that?
Allison, Arlene, I have a very quick video to show you of the harbor with the moorings there. So if someone wants to address this from harbor management.
Yeah, John has done a lot of work on this, and unfortunately he's not here tonight.
Okay.
So
is there someone else from the committee that is able to address this? And I'll show you the video.
I'm not really up to speed. This is something that John's been pretty much dealing with himself.
Okay.
Might be better to table this until John's at the meeting.
Okay, I
had
think,
mentioned it to Ben. I don't know if Ben is on.
yes,
I'm here.
Ben's here.
Him, Ben, and Bill. He had emailed them some of his ideas, and I spoke to Ben about it this morning.
Yeah, Bill's not here either.
Mhm.
Ben, do you feel you have enough?
Yeah, I could just give you the brief overview.
Can I run this video as you begin, Ben? All
Yeah.
right, so you can start, and I'll share my screen. Oops, how did I get out of this by mistake? Uh-oh.
Okay, so the was it Hampton Waters POB? They refer to the bulkhead as a bulkhead dock, but it's really just a bulkhead with a wooden walkway on top of it. Last year, we had an inquiry from some of the board members about the mooring or the type of, quote unquote dock. We informed them that the boat owners needed a trustee mooring permit. At that time it was pre-season where there were 5 mooring balls in the water and the aerial showed 5 boats in the water in the summertime. I believe there are only 3 permits active from last year. So there's definitely more boats than permitted moorings out there. Recently, the Hampton Water POB informed its members that the trustee permit is necessary to moor off the bulkhead dock, and it also requires a $200 permit for use of the bulkhead dock for members' boats moored there. There seems to be some lack of clarity on the board's part when referring to the type of to or off of the bulkhead dock. I believe that we should make it clear to the mooring permit holders that the POB, that our permit is for a pull mooring off the shore, accessible by rope and pulley from the bulkhead dock. And then currently there seem to be 7 mooring balls in the water, most of them with ropes leading to the bulkhead. John said he measured the bulkhead at 125 feet long. If the 5 boats were moored off the bulkhead, the space between the boats would be a little over 30 feet. Generally, we've been spacing pull moorings off the shore 40 to 50 feet apart. So I don't think that we should be granting more than 5 permits there. And another question is what to do with the current moorings in the water now. Allison mentioned that Tim Treadwell doesn't have a problem pulling them out, regardless of how they're dealt with or not dealt with, but being in the water now complicates the issue.
And there are currently 7.
Those moorings should have been pulled at the end of the season anyway, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
There are
they should have, but
there are currently 7 moorings in the water. I took these pictures just last week.
All right. So, hey guys, basically we got whoever did have permits has sort of violated some of the conditions of the permits. Mm-hmm. And whoever didn't have permits is just in violation, period. Maybe the easiest way to sort this out is let Marine Patrol pull all of the moorings out. Let the owners of those moorings come to the town, and we can get this sorted out as to who's going to be legitimized and who's not. We know who legitimately has mooring permits in that area. And the other ones, listen, it's like anything else. If the town has to collect it up, typically you can get it back at the annual auction.
Mm-hmm. I think the Marine Patrol is kind of waiting for some guidance from us on this too, possibly.
I don't know.
To pull the moorings.
Anybody else have any suggestions?
Can I just jump in with another brief update? One of the reasons why this has come up again in conversation is the fact that we do have a homeowner from the association who wants a mooring out there. And with the quote unquote illegal moorings, let's say the ones who don't have a permit or haven't had a permit, it's blocking and interfering. And so that's one of the reasons where this came up from, just so you guys know. So we do have a new interested party in addition to those permitted moorings.
All right. So Allison, how many are permitted?
So last year we had 3 that were permitted. This year I've only received back 1 application from Jeannie and David Stiles for their mooring permit. They're the northernmost mooring. And then so far I haven't received the other 2 back.
All right. So
But currently currently in the harbor, there are 7 moorings.
All right, but Susan, it appears that at least 2 of the there's 2 more there than the area will comfortably accommodate, right, Ben?
Wait, say that again, Jim? Sorry.
There's 2 more moorings in there presently than the area would comfortably accommodate.
That's right. 2,
Yeah.
yeah. So 7 opposed to 5.
Yeah. I would agree with John and Ben, limit this to 5, total of 5 mooring permits in this area.
Mm-hmm.
The choice as to who gets what, it doesn't really matter much to me, but I wouldn't exceed the 5. And, you may reach out to the permit holders from last year and see if they want to renew their permits, give them that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly think that the person that reached out to you, Allison, is already doing it through the process. So I think we could automatically issue a permit on that because we haven't exceeded the 5. And the other interlopers that are there, I'm sure they'll surface fairly soon.
Well, I agree with Jim that we should pull the existing moorings, start over with the new one that has submitted a permit. And when the others come in who had the permit last year and left the moorings in over winter, it should be a discussion.
Well, listen, it gives an opportunity to alert everybody. And I kind of guess that maybe the reason they were left in there is we were trying to stake our claim so we didn't lose it because you had these other individuals that were trying to move into the area illegally anyway.
Mm-hmm.
This is an opportunity to get the whole thing sorted. If we don't act on this soon, good God, we're almost at the point where we're going to be putting moorings out. So we probably should move on this sooner than later.
How does the board
I would
feel
almost
about,
ask you to.
How does the board feel about removing the existing moorings?
I'm in favor of
Fine.
existing.
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Definitely, me too.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I think my mooring comes out early December at the latest, and I mean,
Well-
you take it out every year. I mean, that's
Well, you take it out, and hey, that's the opportunity to check the tackle, make sure everything's in good shape, because, half the time, this is how you find yourself with a boat that's run loose, is, the chain's rotted off or something.
Okay. So
All right. Shall I?
we have a plan.
Okay, just so I can contact Tim and ask him to get them out of there?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, the one permit holder that has already submitted their application, should we still require them to, it's already been processed and approved, but should we require them to do an inspection on that mooring since it's been left in?
Well, hold on. The person that's applying for a mooring, is their mooring in there?
The one person is, yes, Jeannie and David Stiles. They're the northernmost mooring.
Okay.
They submitted their application. And it's still in.
let's get them to be compliant. Probably, at the very least, check your mooring, make sure it's in decent shape.
When was that mooring installed?
I believe they did it, and it's just been left. It's been left in. I couldn't tell you when it was installed.
Okay.
So
Did they have a permit last year?
They've had a permit for the last many years.
Okay. All right. No, that's no problem. I thought you were going to tell me this is one of the ones that we didn't know who's it was.
No.
Yeah, they have to understand that they have to remove that every year.
Okay. So then we'll pull them all, just not theirs. So I'm clear.
Yes.
Okay. So the two
but
people
they have
who
to
had
check
a
it.
permit. Correct. And then the two people,
actually,
David Yohei, and then Jonathan Worth, they were the other two that had active permits in previous years, just haven't received their applications for this year. Do we keep those in or remove those?
Well, no, I would, Allison, why don't you reach out to the other two permit holders that were there from last year and make them aware that they were supposed to have been pulled. Ask them if they want to be in this year, but ask them, listen, at the very least, pull your mooring, check your gear, and make sure it's in decent shape and that you think it's going to last the season.
Okay.
You know, if the guy tells you that he put the mooring in last year and it was brand new last year, in all likelihood, it's probably good this year. But if the thing's 10 years old, I think there's a good chance we'll be chasing Jonathan's photograph.
Okay, you got it. And then the one other thing, while we're still on the same topic, they have, I think what John was referring to in his message about just checking with the Homeowners Association is on their website, and in their newsletter that they send out, they are alerting them that they need East Hampton Town mooring permits, and that that we should probably let them know that they need to rephrase that to the East Hampton Town Trustees. Is that something I am able to do by giving them a call and just letting them know that that should be updated from the East Hampton Town to East Hampton Town Trustees?
Hey,
or should one of you guys do that?
Yeah, Allison, I would just give them a call, certainly, but document it in writing, send them an email or something, just so that it's on the record.
Okay. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you. All right. So next we have discussion to amend the annual resolution regarding trustee fees for different types of applications. If you recall, it came up last meeting that we had neglected. I can't even remember which one it was at this point, to be honest with you.
I can jump in if you want.
I'm sorry?
It was the March 14th meeting.
Yeah. We had agreed when we issued Harbor Marina the 10-year lease to charge them $100 a month renewal, but we forgot to raise the renewals from $75 to $100. This year when we did the resolution, it was a simple oversight. The board had already discussed it, Lane, making renewals $100. And then in John's email, he felt if we're making the renewals from 75 to 100, maybe we take the regular application from 100 to 150. We had a lengthy discussion, Ben. I think you probably remember about only charging 75 for renewals.
Yes.
It's actually a condition of Mr. Mendelman's permit that he pays $100 a year renewal fee. So we just, that was a housekeeping oversight. To move those two up, the regular from 100 to 150 and the renewal from 75 to 100. We can still table it, John said, whatever you want. I mean, but this is a very simple thing, this part of it, because we had already discussed it.
I'm looking at the agenda from March 14th, and I wrote those notes exactly. So Arlene, what you are saying is true. The increase in the renewal fees. So I did write that down on the agenda. And I think we all were in agreement that that was okay.
Well, there's also a question about possibility of 5-year permits and how we were going to charge for those. Personally, I think this is something that it already left the gate. I don't think we can go back and revisit it. And we should just be prepared for it at the next organizational meeting. I don't know if everybody else agrees.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Do we reduce Mr. Mendelman's then to the 75?
I'm sorry?
We're already charging Mr. Mendelman 70.
Right, but so we can't raise him 100 now.
No, we're already charging him 100. We should reduce it then to the
Yeah, we got to have them all the same.
Yeah, okay.
I think if we already have charged him $100, shouldn't we just continue on then with other, and at the next organizational meeting, change the renewal from $100, what was it, 100 to 150? We could do it that way, because we've already established the $100 raise for Mendelman.
Well, I don't know how that happened if we didn't establish it at the organizational meeting.
We forgot.
And do they have a new 10-year permit coming up that we were talking about? Why this came up?
They're not arguing paying the $100 on the renewal. But if we're going to keep everything the same, we could discuss, the committee can discuss this or something. Francis seems to bring up a larger idea that we don't in March, I guess, try to catch up on things.
Well, again, you want to table it till John's back?
I think that's a good idea. Maybe we can have a vote then and be done.
Okay. All right, next we have South Fork Wind update. Did you want to bring something up, Susan, on that?
Where are we? South Fork Wind update. Where am I?
They produce updates every week.
Right, and I've added the link to our website so that people can register, and they will send those updates to people who have signed up on their website. We currently have a tab on our website for just that purpose. I also post it to our trustee Twitter and Facebook account. So I don't even see that on my agenda.
I have it under old business, number 3.
Maybe I've written up too much.
You had a documentary you wanted to tell them about, and the scheduling, how they're doing with their scheduling.
Yes, I printed out 3 different agendas for tonight, and I don't have it on this here. But at any rate, I sent everybody an email. I went down, I took pictures, and I posted those of the construction going on for the cable. So Beach Lane, they are ahead of schedule. I ran into Jen Garvey, and Worldview Films was there. So the gentleman asked that any of you, and this is in an email to all of you, I gave his name and number out. So if you'd like to talk with them, they would love to put you on camera if you want to talk about the project or talk about a trustee. And so, Francis, I had sent this to you as the clerk, and Jim and Bill to, if you wanted to organize something and go down to speak. It's a documentary that Orsted is doing, and Jen is with the camera crew. It's a 2-man camera crew. So if anybody is interested, please look at your email. I think I sent it to everybody, or maybe just the deputy clerks and the clerk.
I don't remember seeing that, Susan.
Yep, Worldview Films. I said this weekend is the Oscars. Maybe one of you will win an Oscar. A little humor.
Or get our asses kicked.
Well, I will go look for the email, but I know definitively I did send it out before the weekend. So I'll send it again to you.
No, hang on, Susan. I'm just checking. You may have, and I just...
Okay.
Oh, okay. Hang on. I just thought it was white noise. I'm sorry.
Oh, at the time, what was my header? What did it say?
I don't know. It was just something Jen Garvey. I just sort of went.
Oh, okay.
Well,
if you want do you have the information?
I got all the stuff. Yes, Susan, I got it.
You do? Okay. So I thought it would be nice to be included in the documentary. Certainly we're very much part of this whole process. And they asked me if I would speak a few words about it. So I did. I just said, that the trustees are involved, and had my trustee baseball hat on. So that was nice. And that we had granted permission for the cable to run through our beach. And we're looking forward to renewable energy coming our way and so forth. And that was it. But I think it would be really nice and appropriate for the trustees, certainly the deputy clerks and our clerk, to be part of this documentary. And maybe we would want to, I don't know if we'd want our attorney to be involved as well. Dan?
Now, here's the thing, Susan. They know where to find us, and nobody came to us that asked. I kind of feel like we're inserting ourselves into their.
Oh no! She flagged me down as I was driving, turning and leaving, and he gave me his card. So all right. I think it's a good thing to be involved in it.
I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just making a point.
So, Susan, have you done an interview?
Like, you're the only person we've heard from on this issue.
No, I understand.
You're not doing the documentary.
Well, the town board was notified. In fact, they've been going down. So I just happened to be there because I wanted to put this information on our website, which I did. I took pictures. I put the pictures on the website. And if you have not gone to our website, I'm going to say this over and over again, ehtrustees.com. There's a lot of good information there. And I am daily working on it and keeping it, pertinent and relevant for people to take advantage of using it. But I did, as I said, Jim, I did speak because they asked me would I get out of my car and say something. And so Jen and I just had a quick, 2-3 minute thing. It was all positive. It wasn't any serious discussion. It was just that we were involved. And we're looking forward to renewable energy. I mentioned Climate Reality Project with Al Gore, that kind of thing, and noticing that our town was on the map of the United States as being a renewable energy pledged town for 2030, and that we were very excited about the wind turbines coming to help us with our energy needs.
Okay.
So, Jim, are you going to sign up?
I'm not making any comments here on that.
Okay. All right. Well,
things. If they call me, I don't think I'm gonna go hunting anybody down.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
all right.
All right, move on. We have staked, marked pull mooring locations at Acabonic, Last Point, and Babes Lane.
Yeah, so John's not here. He's kind of taking the lead on this, but I'm helping him with it. We met with Glenn Bennett down at Louse Point. Glenn puts in most of the recreational moorings there. And it seems the problem is that they were too close to the commercial guys, and they were all kind of really close. There's a bunch of metal, some old, mostly kind of rusted metal rods sticking out of the peat. And they were all either too close or too far apart. So John and I, we counted out, we spaced them out basically 40 feet. We pushed them a little bit farther down to the east, and we put in these stakes, which are numbered. We put them down 2 or 3 feet into the peat, so they're pretty sturdy. And the idea is that Arlene or Allison will tell these, the mooring holders that they need to use those stakes to line up. And Glenn's in on this. He's going to line up the moorings with those stakes, and it should alleviate the problem of them being too congested, too close to commercial guys. The only thing is they need to put in their own, they shouldn't really use the stakes to tie up the moorings to. It's just to show them where they should put their, whatever, their metal rod. So they can either reuse and move the other ones or get new ones. So that's what's going on. I know John did that also at Babes Lane at 3 Mile. So we're going to see how that works.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it looks good. I have some photos I took. I don't know if, Arlene needs to put them up, but yeah, I think it's it's definitely an improvement.
Great. And then what'd you base that on? Just the number of permits that we've issued in the past?
Exactly, yeah. There's 9 right on that one side.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Divided by 9, basically the amount of room we had on that spot.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thanks, David. Anybody have anything else on that? No. Edwards Hole Road tree removal. I know that.
So
go ahead, David.
So down there with John, and there was 5. Those, we talked about this last time, those pitch pines that went down there, and I think it was Lagerren who took care of it, and he got them out. Actually, just kind of rolled them out of the way because it's there's probably 50 trees that'll be coming down in the next year. Every storm will have some trees coming down there, so we'll just keep an eye on it.
Yeah,
I think it was $800. I think it was $800.
You guys responded before noon the next day that it had already been done. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, they were really quick. So, yep.
All right. Move on to committee reports. Education.
Let's see. Up front. Just trying to separate this. Montauk Friends of Erin, St. Patrick's Day Parade. Tim, David, Ben. We had a great time. Bill was driving our truck. We decorated it at Jim. Thank you very much, at your office on Industrial Road. And the pump out boat looked terrific. We had Ben's two nieces in the boat, and Tim and I walked on either side of the boat and were giving away the carnations, and the kids got lots of necklaces. And I must say that both of you, Dave, or three of you, all looked great in your necklaces for St. Patrick's Day. I think
fun.
It was a wonderful turnout, and everybody had a great time. So jump in.
It was great. It was really fun. Yeah, I think it was nice to kind of show the new boat to the public, and people were I think excited to see it, and so
I think they were just excited to be at a parade.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was filled, and everybody, I think, I agree. Bill said, everyone was so cooped up for 2 years, and this was a way to. I have to say, everybody knew the three of you, waving and excited, and certainly your nieces were terrific. I posted a gallery of photographs on our website under news and events. So you can take a peek there, and it's also on social media. I was working on that today and last night. And the only person I didn't get close up was you, David. For some reason, I have you standing in the boat, but people were thrilled to see the pump out boat. And I think it's very good for our community to see that we, help Montauk and help keep the waters clean by what we do. We did make up two big, large banners at Staples. And Allison, thank you so much. And Arlene for working on those. We have removable numbers so that every year we can reuse the poster. Allison came up with the idea that we should show who made the boat purchase possible. So we attributed it to our sponsors. And I guess that's it on the parade, but it was a great day. And did you have a good parade in the Montauk Fire Department?
It was a parade, yeah.
Jim, they get numbers on how many people showed up?
It seemed like it was fairly light attendance, relative to past years. But, you haven't had a parade in 2 years. So, and, our parade, or the parade in Montauk, was sort of the last parade in a gauntlet of St. Patty's Day parades on the island. So, and I know some of the fire departments, unfortunately, and I think it was just a glitch, they mistakenly didn't get invited.
Oh.
So, listen, you don't have a parade for a couple of years. Certainly something's going to fall between the cracks, and I think we saw a little of that.
Oh.
But no, I had a good time.
Well, I think we enjoyed it, and I think it was good for the trustees to be there. So I want to thank everybody that participated. And
yeah, the guys look good.
Thanks.
I'm really glad I didn't walk right up to the truck, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was in there.
Yeah, Ben was outside, and Tim actually wore, you had a Ukrainian flag on your baseball cap and a lovely ribbon to mark a serious point of our times. But a few of us were in the truck.
Okay.
Yeah, I drove out with Bill all the way out and drove all the way back.
Okay.
What are you going to do?
Montauk
School Annual Science Fair.
Okay, and the next thing, is that what you said, Francis? I'm sorry.
Fair.
Moving
The
on.
fair, yes, okay. The fair is this coming Friday, and David and I have plans to go, and we also have Ann Wilker, Southampton Town Trustee, so that would be our team. I did make a call today to let them know that we hope to be there on Friday, but we will see how things turn out after yesterday. And it's with, it'll be an all-day event, basically until at least 3 p.m. But we have, that'll be fun. It's been 2 years since we've been able to do it. And the students are from grades, 3 on up. and they create a science project. We have to evaluate it. They have to explain what the project is about, what they hope to achieve, the materials that they use. So it's a really intensive, wonderful event. And I think, David, you're going to really enjoy this. Do you have one at the middle school?
We have in the elementary school, yeah.
Okay. All right.
And the Southampton Trustee is going to be doing it too, so that's cool.
Yes. Yeah. Ann and I have done it in the past as a team. So we welcome you coming with us, obviously, as East Hampton Town Trustee. Then I did not put this in, but the League of Women Voters is has invited female elected people to come and speak to young students, young females, about how to run for office and what our experience has been. So Ann and I will be participating in that as well. And that's coming up the following week.
Where's that, Susan?
That will be held at the old Southampton campus, Stony Brook.
Mm-hmm.
And they bring us over and the girls ask questions and the students ask questions and we answer them, and it'll be fun. I just got the confirmation today, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's great.
And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Water quality, stormwater, an update on the town of East Hampton's water quality committee project.
Yes, Water Quality Technical Advisory Committee. We had our second meeting last week, and we are reviewing various different applications which had to be turned in by February 15th at the latest to submit our collective thoughts about each one of the applications. And at this juncture, nothing has been decided, but I just wanted to let you know that we have had that meeting and the applications are very interesting. And of course, this is the Water Quality Technical Advisory Committee, comes from various different branches, our Department of Natural Resources, Nature Conservancy, people from Sag Harbor, and it's the 20% allocated from the Community Preservation Fund for water projects is what this committee is concerned about. So anything that helps to keep our waters cleaner, those are the applications that we get, and then we review them and submit those thoughts to the town, and then they make a final decision as to what projects they would like to allocate funds for. So I find it very fascinating and really interesting, and I'm glad that I'm involved with this committee. Also, John Aldred, I've asked if he could come on and attend the meetings as well. So I have a good colleague with me on that. And that's it for now. When we have some decisions, I will be able to talk more to the issue.
Great.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
Under administrative, we have payment of bills. Montauk Anglers Club in the Marina, $2,559.46 for winterizing service and shrink wrap. That's it.
Hey, did we just get this bill?
No, I haven't been paying it because I thought they only shrunk wrapped one boat.
They only shrunk wrap. Oh, they shrunk.
No, they did the second new boat. So I thought we paid
No,
it.
they did not.
They did the one that they brought down for the winter. We have 3 boats all
Oh,
together.
that's right. Yes,
they
they
did
did. They did the new one. Yes.
So I kept thinking it was a duplicate bill
Okay.
and that I
Hey,
paid it, but I didn't.
Yeah, Arlene, can you pull out the maintenance, the full maintenance on both of those boat, all 3 boats, and just make copies and leave it out for me?
Oh, sure. Allison had put together a really nice summary of everything, so we have it all together. You got it.
All right.
You know what? The new boat wasn't pumped out. It had a full tank. Bill just
Now,
found that
you know
out.
what that was when they did, and I was unaware that they probably did that when they sea trialed it. Okay, just to make sure that it basically rode right with water in it.
Okay.
You guys have got like 80 gallons left in that tank. But we'll have to pump it out when it goes into the water.
Okay, someone want to make a motion on the bill?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One opposed? Okay. And then we have financials for the month ending February 28th, 2022. Anybody have a chance to look at them?
No.
I didn't
Yeah,
see
it
him
looks good.
come by.
And
Missed those.
But I'm sorry, Ben, did you say you looked at it?
I said I did. Actually, never saw that email for,
Oh, okay.
for February.
Okay, so we'll table that to the next meeting.
And may I ask who seconded the motion for payment of the bills? Was it Tim?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have anything on the report of the clerk. Does anybody have anything before we say goodnight?
Nope.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Francis.
Have a motion
Good to
closed.
see everybody.
Motion to close.
Close.
Oh,
Second?
second.
Second.
Bye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Matt.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Matt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.